The Islamic State, also known as Daesh, with its roots in Iraq and Syria, was founded by Abu Musab al-Zarqawi in 1999. The terrorist Islamist group, which follows the Salafi jihadist branch of Sunni Islam, gained global prominence in 2014 and rapidly spread its insidious footprints in South Asia, a region with a large Muslim population. A recently leaked document has revealed that the Islamic State is using Afghanistan as its safe haven to operate and target important installations in Europe, Asia, and the United States. Come with us as we discuss how South Asia is impacted by the ISIS threat and how countries can attempt to curb any further terror. On April 21, 2019, while Sri Lankans celebrated Easter, a series of terrorist suicide bombings by the Islamic State shook the nation. The coordinated attack at 3 churches and 3 luxury hotels in Colombo city killed a total of 269 people, including 45 foreign nationals. On the 4th anniversary of the attack, Sri Lankans are still demanding justice and answers for the deadly Easter bombings.
අපේ මොරගැසීම් දෙවියන්ට ඇහෙනවා යුක්තිය සාධාරණත්වය වෙනුවෙන් අපේ කාදිනල්තුමා ඇතුළු අපේ පූජක පක්ෂයේ සියලු දෙනාම කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා ඒ වුණත් කියන්න දුකයි අද වනතුරා අපිට යුක්තියක් සාධාරණත්වයක් ඉෂ්ට වෙලා නැහැ.
Recent deadly attacks by the Islamic State in South Asia, including Pakistan, Afghanistan, and India, indicate the growing presence of ISIS in the region. According to leaked Pentagon memos, ISIS is re-emerging in Afghanistan and plotting attacks across Europe, Asia, and aspirational plots against the United States. The leaked memos indicated that specific targets included churches, embassies, and business centers.
We may talk about ISIS targeting targets in Afghanistan, but when it comes to state stability, especially the stability of Taliban government, the Taliban government believes that these attacks do not disturb it at all. Yes, when they do attempt to attack Taliban or the state of Afghanistan, then the Taliban does take action and it takes severe action. So far what we have seen is a jugalbandi of sorts, where the ISIS keeps on targeting Shias largely and the Taliban is more or less comfortable with it.
According to the Washington Post, which was the first outlet to report the news, ISIS has coordinated 15 specific plots from Afghanistan since the U.S. withdrawal in 2021. The deadly suicide bomb at Kabul International Airport in August of 2021, for example, which killed 13 U.S. service members, was set off by an ISIS member.
All power vacuums will always lead to this kind of a terrorist organization coming up, irrespective of where it is. Now, the question, of course, is could America went in to block that power vacuum. After 20 years, losing the war, what were they realistically meant to do? It was, they just can't keep throwing troops and money into a war which isn't going anywhere. So they had to kind of move out. I don't think the power vacuum this time is as big as it was the last time. The last time the Taliban literally allowed things to happen, and that is why they lost their state.
According to Stanford University, the Islamic State seeks to create a global Salafi jihadist movement, which is a religious and political Sunni Islamist ideology. For the past few years, the Islamic State has strengthened its position in South Asia and carried out several deadly attacks to make its presence known throughout the world. The Newslines Institute, a US-based think tank, says that ISIS in South Asia is concerned with recruiting for the Khorasan branch, and thus seeks to leverage online networks and local politics to form cells and conduct sporadic attacks. The group poses the greatest threat in Afghanistan and Pakistan, countries reeling from decades of war, insurgency, weak governance, and political instability, further complicated by difficult topography.
There is no doubt that these poor governance in these two countries have created the necessary vacuums for not just ISIS, any fundamentalist groups basically to form and preach their version of a perfect world to disillusioned masses. But the centrality of Pakistan's role in all this cannot be taken away. No matter which period, from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to the current page, Pakistan has been instrumental in creating disorder in Afghanistan.
The Islamic State has a massive presence in Pakistan's Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa provinces, which share borders with Afghanistan. These provinces have witnessed frequent terror attacks by ISIS, as the outfit wants to establish its prominence in the region. In March, a suicide bombing by the Islamic State in the Sibi area of Balochistan killed 9 policemen.
ISIS today, the way it stands is, anybody can start it up, anybody can claim to be ISIS. If you're violent enough and you're disruptive enough, you'll get a sort of ISIS stamp of approval. This has been the pattern for quite some time now. Here, of course, we know that some of the elements are kind of independent radicals in Afghanistan, but largely we've been able to trace a very significant Pakistani hand in this.
According to the Newslines Institute, the Islamic State province of Pakistan, ISPP, was formed in May of 2019 with the apparent goal of providing operational autonomy from the Khorasan branch and gathering various factions of Pakistan-based militant groups such as Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, Jaish-ul-Adl, Jandullah, and Jaish-ul-Islam, thereby attracting recruits by channeling local interests. The outfit has also been involved in carrying out terror attacks in India's Jammu and Kashmir, especially targeting the security forces in that region. The existence of the Islamic State in the region is a wake-up call, as the outfit has already announced the Islamic State of Hind province in May of 2019. The Islamic State's growth in these regions indicates that the Islamist group may aim to launch a violent campaign when conditions are suitable. Countries in the South Asian region and world over, as well as international organizations and groups, must remain watchful of ISIS operations and make attempts to curb their growth by drawing attention to their tactics, leaders, and methods of financing. The threat of terror is a real one in South Asia, and concerted and coordinated efforts are required to curb terrorism and violence.